In this video, you're going to learn how to make Titus fish stew, which is also called mackerel fish stew. It is a favorite and I can't believe I don't have the recipe on my channel. So let's get cooking. In this video, I'm making stew for my family, and while I was washing the peppers, I realized that we have peppers growing in the corner. I previously did not realize why peppers were growing against my wall, but I now realize that it's because this is the spot where we always wash our peppers, which is why I have pepper growing by the wall on the cement. Make stew maybe twice a month because I make it in bulk, and this time I'm making Titus fish stew. I typically make beef stew or chicken stew, but I was scrolling on social media and you guys, I saw Titus fish stew. I was like, I have not had Titus fish in a long time. My kids are not really crazy about fish, that's why I don't do it all the time, but I just had a nostalgic moment and I knew this week we are going to have Titus fish stew. Once there's no stew in my house, it's almost like there is no food at home. I did a video about this. Check my older videos, you'll see it. Food that I always have at home to feed my kids. Stew is number one. It should be number one. So I always go to the market and then I get 2 paint buckets of tatashe. If you live in Nigeria, you will know what we call paint buckets. That's how we measure food in Nigeria, by paint buckets and some of these milk tins. So I'm going to be using 2 paint buckets of tatashe and then a 1/4 paint bucket of tomatoes. Sometimes I use more tomatoes, sometimes I reduce the amount, but because I wanted it to be fish stew, I use more tatashe when it comes to that. I get complaints sometimes from my audience saying, Sisiyemmie, my stew is bitter, what happened? I feel like sometimes you guys don't take out the seeds from your tatashe. I always take it out. If not, your stew is going to be bitter. If you are using like shombo and you don't take out the seeds, your stew is going to be bitter. So you have to take time out to take out the seeds and then wash it properly. Once washed, I transfer it to a pot and then I add a little bit of water. I cover it and allow it to cook till the water runs dry or till the moisture goes down, so that making the stew is a faster process. For tomatoes, I also do the same. I wash the tomatoes and I cut it into 2. I like to open up my peppers and tomatoes because you guys, sometimes there are worms in these things, and like just the fact that I know that there can be worms, I'm not able to just eat the stew like that if I didn't follow this process. So for me, something I always do, I open it up and then add a bit of water, cover it and allow it to steam. This is what it looks like when it has reduced. When I'm ingredient prepping, I bring it down to this level and I can put it in the freezer. Next, add pepper, onions, the tatashe, tomatoes, and blend it together. I like to use a lot of pepper because it is fish stew. This is the Titus fish. It is seasoned with some salt, some pepper, and some ginger powder. And I'm just going to fry it in this oil. This oil is going to be our flavor base for the stew because the fish has this delicious, intense flavor that it gives to the oil. And that's what we're going to use to fry the stew. Now, this is the stew pot I've been using for the past couple of months. I call it my Ayo pot because Ayo is written on it. It gives me so much joy. I transfer the oil that we used to fry the fish, and then I transfer some onion. So this is extra onion. It's going to make your stew delicious. Make sure you fry that onion for at least 5 minutes till it softens and it sweetens. You don't need to do too much for fish stew. Add bay leaves to the oil. This is going to add additional flavor, and for extra flavor I always add dried thyme, and I also add curry powder. So I make sure I add them to the oil, and immediately I add the curry powder, which is what I add last because it burns quickly. I'm going to add the tomato and tatashe blend. Now I'm adding the blended tatashe, and then I'm also going to add the blended tomatoes. Fish stew is really easy to make, and for me this is fried stew. That's why it has a lot of oil. It needs to fry properly. You guys, the aroma, not just in my kitchen, the aroma in my compound, the aroma in my streets. Every time I cook, they're like, this woman has come again. So this stew is going to call your neighbors from far and wide. Make sure you fry it and be patient. My stew takes about 30 minutes to cook. I reduce the heat and I just allow it to keep cooking. I season with some stock powder. You can use chicken stock powder, and then I add some salt, and you guys, that is it. Just allow your stew to just keep frying and frying till it reduces and it starts to clump. That way you know your stew is ready. Once the stew is ready, I bring in the fried fish and mix it together gently, and I just allow it to simmer. Stew is one of those Nigerian recipes that are staples. Every family makes stew, in my opinion, every week. If you want to learn how to make Nigerian staple soups, stews, and sauces, I have a cookbook that you can download to your phone. It has the recipes there for over 30 soups, stews, and sauces. And I'm going to link it for you in the description box, or just Google it and you will find the book for download. We enjoyed this stew with hot white rice and beans, and it was so good. Thank you for watching this recipe. If you want more recipes from me, click the like button and leave a comment. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.